Hey, my friend, I'm genuinely grateful you're here watching this, and if you hit that subscribe button, it'll mean the world. All right, let's get into it. That afternoon, the sky looked unnaturally flawless. Vivid blue, not a cloud in sight, like the kind of day you'd see painted on a postcard. It felt like a cruel joke. I'm Miles Carter, and before everything shifted that day, I really thought I had it all figured out. My career was climbing fast, I lived in a sleek condo that I designed myself, and I was engaged to a woman who once told me I made her feel like she was the only soul on earth. Her name was Jenna Whitmore. Our wedding was less than 5 months away. We had booked a beachfront ceremony in St. Lucia. That morning, everything had felt like it was falling into place. I'd just closed a major logistics contract, and my boss handed me a bonus that made me feel like I was walking on air. The first person I wanted to share it with? Jenna. She'd been drowning in wedding tasks, dress fittings, floral arrangements, endless planning. It was wearing her thin. I thought we both needed a reset. A surprise getaway to Arrowhead seemed like the answer. Just the two of us. No phones, no emails, peace and quiet in a lakeside cabin. I left work early, tried calling her a couple times, no reply. Figured she was either at yoga or catching up with her cousin. Both were normal. Nothing felt off. Not yet. It started to shift when I turned into our driveway and saw Noah Ramsey's truck. At first, I was just puzzled. It didn't register right away. Noah, my closest friend, the guy who'd been at my side since our college dorm days. He was supposed to stand next to me as my best man. He even raised a glass at our engagement party, calling me the guy you hope your sister ends up with. So why was his truck parked half a block down like he didn't want it seen? I tried not to assume the worst. I told myself there was probably a simple explanation. I believed in trust, in loyalty. I walked inside quietly. The scent of yesterday's vanilla candles still hung in the air. No voices, no footsteps, just a heavy silence that didn't sit right. I called out, "Jenna?" No answer. I placed the bottle of wine I'd brought on the counter. Then I noticed something. 2 glasses of red wine, half drunk. But I'd picked up white. My stomach tightened. I moved slowly through the living room and into the hallway, eventually stopping at the patio doors. The sliding glass door was open a crack, and through it, I saw them. No touching, no kissing, but the energy between them said more than any words could. She laughed, a carefree, easy laugh I hadn't heard in a long time. She was curled up on a lounge chair, her knees close to his. Her fingers tapped his leg casually, like it meant nothing. And Noah. He leaned forward, wearing that old grin he used to flash at college parties. The one I used to think was charming. Neither of them saw me. I stood still just watching. Maybe 30 seconds. Maybe longer. I wasn't angry yet. I was assessing. Locking in every detail, her smile, the way he looked at her, the fact that she was wearing my old college sweatshirt. I didn't storm out there, didn't say a word. I quietly stepped away, circled to the front, and sat at the dining table. I waited. 10 minutes passed before the door opened. I heard Noah's voice first. "Hey, I was just heading out." He froze when he saw me. Jenna came in behind him, face pale, eyes wide. "Miles," she said quickly, "I didn't think you'd be home so early." "You didn't pick up when I called," I replied evenly. "Thought something happened." Noah didn't move, keys still in hand. "I should go," he muttered. "Yeah," I said, "you should." He left without another word. Jenna hovered by the wall, arms crossed, twisting her bracelet in nervous loops. I stared at her. "Explain." Her voice was thin. "It's not what you think." I raised an eyebrow. "Then what is it?" Her tone dropped. "A mistake. Just a stupid mistake. It only happened once." I let the silence hang. She glanced down, chewing her lip. "It was a dumb night. I was alone. You were away. He came over." "Here?" I asked. "In this house?" She nodded. "How long ago?" Her voice cracked. 2 months. I leaned back, my expression blank. "How many times?" She hesitated. It was only that once? I said nothing. She faltered. Okay, a few times, but it didn't mean anything. I stood calm and cold. Pack your bags. Miles, please. I'm not asking. She moved toward me. Don't do this. Don't throw everything away. This ended the moment you let him in, I said, voice like ice. You can't mean that. You can't just erase everything. I didn't, I said, walking toward the door. You did. She stared at me, speechless. Then her voice shifted, brittle and sharp. Fine, be heartless. That's who you really are. You never loved me the way I needed. My hand paused on the doorknob. I turned to her. Maybe not, but I love myself more. She didn't reply, just stood frozen, eyes brimming, lips parted, as I opened the door and nodded toward the stairs. You've got 20 minutes. Upstairs, she made noise, slammed drawers, yanked things off hangers. But I didn't move. I sat in silence, letting the space reclaim itself. When she finally came down, dragging the suitcase we'd bought for our honeymoon, I didn't stop her. I didn't need to. Because this was only the beginning. Once the door shut behind her, I opened the hall closet. Hidden under a mess of coats and scarves was a black shoebox I hadn't touched in years. Inside were old papers, engagement contracts, real estate docs, and an old flash drive once used for travel videos. But now, it had a new purpose. I'd never been the jealous type, never checked her phone, never asked who she was texting. But after what I'd seen, I didn't want guesses. I wanted facts. So I pulled out the small home security cam I'd installed a year ago after a neighbor's bike got stolen. I'd placed it above the bookshelf. Not hidden, just forgotten. But it had been rolling, and it caught everything. I plugged it into my laptop. No tricks needed. Just raw, time-stamped clips that stripped away every excuse she'd given. The kiss, the bedroom. Her laugh, quiet, intimate, familiar, as she nestled against the man I once called my brother. I didn't cry. Didn't break down. I saved the footage 5 times under different names. Not for revenge, for clarity, for truth, and to decide who deserved to see it. That night, I didn't sleep. The silence in the room wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. I kept looking at the untouched half of the bed, still neat, still made, and wondering how love becomes habit, how people wear it like a mask, how easy it is to pretend. Betrayal doesn't announce itself. It slips in quietly, with a smile, with tenderness. It wraps itself in affection, right up until the moment it cuts deep, silent and swift. The morning after everything fell apart, I contacted Jenna's mother. The message I sent was cold and precise. The wedding is off. I'll handle the refunds. When she asked what had happened, I offered no explanation. Within an hour, my phone was lighting up. Her sister, the bridesmaids, a couple of mutual friends. I ignored every call. Instead, I composed a single group message titled, simply, Closure. Who received it? Jenna's family, Noah's girlfriend Vanessa, and those so-called friends who treated loyalty like a game of ping-pong. The body of the message was only one line. She claimed it was only once. My camera disagrees. Then came the attachments, screenshots, no captions, no added text. The truth, raw and undeniable, didn't need my voice. By noon, Vanessa had cut ties with both Jenna and Noah. One bridesmaid wiped Jenna from her social media completely, as though she'd been erased. And Jenna? She sent me a panicked text. I made a mistake. But did you have to destroy me like that? I didn't respond. She called it destruction. She didn't yet understand what that meant. 3 days passed. Not once did I reach for my phone. I wasn't interested in arguing or grieving or gloating, but Jenna was relentless. She flooded my inboxes, emails, DMs, even LinkedIn. She started by pleading. Then she raged. Finally, she threatened. You had no right to share those photos. You betrayed my confidence. My family's ashamed. My friends are gone. Vanessa made it public. You've ruined everything. She hadn't been ruined by me. She'd done that herself. All I did was pull back the curtain. And still I said nothing. I wasn't chasing justice. I was crafting something colder. Revenge doesn't yell. It leaks in, slow and unforgiving. Before anything else, I needed protection. So I called Reed Hoffman, an old college friend turned civil litigator in Chicago. He wasn't loud, but he was lethal where it counted. "I'm not suing," I told him. "I just need to make sure that when I go public again, I stay untouchable." He was quiet a moment, then asked, "What do you have? Screenshots, videos, messages?" "All of it," I said, "including Noah's old texts, months old, that now read like confessions." "That's not just proof," Reed said. "That's your defense." He laid out a plan: timestamps, categorized files, encrypted backups. Then reminded me Jenna and I had joint accounts, wedding savings, gift registries, shared purchases. If she came at me legally, whether over furniture or emotional distress, we'd be ready. But I wasn't only building a shield, I was sharpening a blade. 5 days later, she tried spinning her own version of the story. A GoFundMe appeared under a different name. The headline read, "Starting over after abuse." In it, she claimed I'd thrown her out, gaslit her, manipulated her. She painted herself as a survivor. People, some we both knew, were sending money. That wasn't confusion. It was strategy. So I made a small donation, $5, enough to leave a comment. "You forgot about the camera in the living room. Here's the rest of the story." Attached was a Dropbox link, carefully labeled, time-stamped, factual, not sensational, just the truth, clean and inarguable. 2 hours later, the fundraiser disappeared, scrubbed from existence. And Jenna? For the first time in weeks, she went completely silent. They say revenge is best when it's cold. What they don't say is how quiet it becomes, the eerie hush before it lands. Betrayal doesn't just live in your heart, it lingers in your apartment, in your photos, in the coffee mug she insisted was ours. The morning after her GoFundMe vanished, my inbox lit up. A message from Kayla Simmons, an old classmate from business school, now an HR rep at Noah's new job. Her message was brief, polite, but sharp. "I doubt this was meant for me, but I received it, and the timing is notable." I hadn't released the Dropbox publicly. Someone else had, maybe Vanessa, maybe someone in the original group who had finally had enough. It didn't matter. The damage was done. 2 days later, Noah was placed on administrative leave. The company didn't name a reason, but they had a strict code of ethics tied to employee reputation. Representing major clients meant keeping a clean public image. Screenshots and scandal didn't exactly match the dress code. By Friday, he was gone. I didn't gloat. Revenge isn't about celebration. It's about truth. It's about holding up a mirror until the lies can't stand what they see. But I wasn't done yet. Jenna quietly vanished from my day-to-day. No more run-ins, no more messages. But whispers found me. She was staying with a cousin outside the city. Her parents had distanced themselves. Friends who once swore they'd be in her wedding had quietly stepped away. I never asked anyone to choose sides. Truth doesn't plead, it just is. There was only one thing left to do: erase her from my life completely. I packed every trace: photos, clothes, jewelry, books she'd never touched. The candles, she said, made the place feel like home. All of it, into boxes, into storage. Then I sent her one last message. Unit 308, keys taped to the drawer of your old nightstand. It's all yours. You've got a week. She never replied. 3 nights later, while grabbing a late sandwich near my office, I saw her. Outside the window, standing alone, frozen mid-step, like she couldn't decide whether to walk in or turn away. She looked smaller. Not physically, just diminished. Dressed in an oversized hoodie, no makeup, eyes down. She looked like someone who finally realized the weight of their own actions. Our eyes met. She parted her lips, maybe to say she was sorry, maybe to ask for something. I stood up, paid my bill, and walked out, past her. No words, no second glance. Because not every ending needs a dramatic finish. Some only need silence. And in that silence, she understood everything. I hadn't just walked away from her. I'd stepped into something stronger. Me. She had already handled the most difficult part on my behalf. 2 months passed quietly. No meltdowns, no angry emails or threats, no sudden calls asking for forgiveness. Just distance. Jenna never returned for the things she'd left in the storage unit. After 7 days, I called the facility and gave them permission to dispose of everything. Whatever was still there didn't belong to me anymore. Not in the literal sense, and not in my heart. That was the entire point, wasn't it? People had cautioned me from the start. You won't get closure, they'd warned. She won't feel the loss like you do. She'll vanish like none of it mattered. But they were looking at it all wrong. I didn't need her to fall apart. I just needed to stop falling apart myself. I listed the condo for sale, the one we once called ours. The place held too many echoes. I moved into a small loft on the edge of downtown. Nothing fancy, just a compact kitchen, a worn-in leather chair that somehow fit me perfectly, and a window that welcomed the sunrise over the river. The walls were still unadorned, but for the first time in a long while, the space felt like mine, every inch of it. The silence still visited sometimes. On those days, my mind wandered back to the beginning, when Jenna used to leave sticky notes on the fridge with little jokes or doodles, when Noah and I would eat greasy tacos at midnight, convinced the future was something we had all the time in the world to plan for. I remembered how laughter curved at the edges of her mouth, how she made playlists for every long drive, how she'd squeeze my hand in crowded rooms just because. But I didn't ache for those memories. I simply acknowledged them. Because not every memory is a scar. Some serve as reminders, and some, warnings. Then something I didn't expect arrived. A small, unmarked envelope, no name, no return address. Inside was a letter. The handwriting was neat, intentional. The words were from Vanessa, Noah's former partner. I wanted you to know that I left because of you. Not out of pity, but because what you said gave me the clarity I needed. I had suspected his betrayal for a long time. I just wasn't ready to accept the truth I already knew. What you did wasn't out of spite. It was truth, and that truth helped more than just me. I read the letter 3 times before setting it down. I hadn't been searching for affirmation, but it steadied me. It felt like something real. A few weeks later, I saw her, Vanessa, by chance in a quiet bookstore downtown. No dramatics, no awkward tension. Just 2 people reaching for the same book, smiling at the coincidence. We struck up a conversation. Not about Jenna, not about Noah, just music we loved, cities we'd visited, jobs that changed us, life after everything. Since then, we've met up a few times. Coffee dates, long walks, quiet moments of mutual understanding. No expectations, no need to define anything, just calm. The truth is, revenge was never the goal. I wasn't trying to ruin Jenna's world. I was trying to rebuild mine, without her in it. I was choosing myself. Fully, without shame. It was never about shouting into the void or torching every bridge. It was about realizing I didn't need the flames anymore. Because in the end, real revenge isn't about destruction. It's about becoming someone she can no longer access. And that's who I am now. This is where our story ends. Feel free to share your thoughts below. Thank you for being part of this space. If this story meant something to you, take a moment to explore the others here. Until we meet again, take care, friend.